Well, what do we have here? We got two pieces of galvanized flashing sheet metal, 26 gauge sheet metal. If you want to know how to mark that, how to cut it, how to install it, stick around. Yeah, for some reason this is one of those small little projects I've been dreading. I'm not sure why. I should have got this done a long time ago. Okay, what do we got here? Oh, that's where the heating and air conditioning unit is. And when we moved into this condo, we had an air conditioning guy look at this unit here for us. We already replaced the condensate pump. That condensate pump, when this fills up with water and it drips, there was no place to run the drain. Initially, when they installed this years ago, they could have done something, but they decided, they had a bright idea. They thought, oh, we'll just put a condensate pump in here. The water comes out of that, goes into here. There's a little flapper on there, and see this tube here goes up, and they've got the condensate pump reached all the way around over in here, and it's plugged in over here, and then the condensate pumps it up through this pipe, ka-doink, up on the roof. Goes up on the roof and drips down into the gutter and all that kind of stuff. And while he was here, he said this area here, this is where your gas is when it fires up. This is a gas one. And he said, you really need to have a piece of flashing coming out here. And I said, well, how far? 18 by 18, he thought. Okay, and that just kind of protects your wood. Is anything ever going to happen? Probably not. This condo's 15 years old. This thing's been pumping for 15 years. Has it ever caught on fire? No. Has this ever been scorched? No, but he told me that that's the best thing to do, so I thought, okay, fine, I can do that. I wasn't going to pay him to go to the store and get it and charge me $95 an hour and come back here for 2 hours worth of work to install some galvanized flashing that I can install myself. So kaboom, I thought, where am I going to go to get this flashing? I just went to the Home Depot, and they have different sizes of flashing you can get. These happen to be 12 by 24. I was actually looking for an 18 by 18 or a 24 by 24, and every time I went to the store, the 24 by 24 or the 24 by 30 was out of stock. And that thing was, good grief, I went there 5 different times. They still hadn't had it, and it was like almost $30 or $32. And I thought, hey, there's always 2 ways to skin a cat, right? So I thought, what else could I do? I looked around, and even though they didn't have that, they had 12-inch by 24-inch, and those were like $7 a piece. So for 14 bucks instead of 32 bucks, I'm going to fix my little project here, and I'm going to end up cutting this because it's 24 inches long. I only need 18, so I'm not going to waste my whole flashing for there, because I can always use little bits of flashing for shims, for brackets, for you know, different little things. So I'm gonna measure that, I'm gonna cut it, and I'm going to install it. And I'm gonna overlap one of those pieces over that. So overall, I'm gonna have a piece that's 18 inches by 18 inches here. Okay, you want to see me do that, stick around. That's what this video is about. I'm gonna mark it, and I'm gonna show you a tricky way how to mark this too, if you stick around, and I'll show you how to cut it and install it. Alright, so I had to bring all my stuff up here, my nail bag, my drill, some 1.25 inch drywall screws, just the coarse threaded one, of course my knee pad, and my gloves, and all kinds of stuff. So I'll get set up, and I'll show you how to mark that flashing and cut it. Okay, you can see that. Okay, and first off, this is 24 inches long, and it's 12 inches wide, and I don't need something that long. And the other thing you gotta be careful of when you're using flashing, this will cut you up in a minute. It's almost like a razor. If I were to take my thumb and go whoosh, like that, I'd cut myself wide open. So I probably should have gloves on, but I'm gonna do this without gloves. And you remember, I only need this piece 18 inches, okay? And I'm gonna just cut off the end. So because I don't really need to waste this, I can use that for something else. So I could mark it with my pencil, and sometimes it's kind of hard to see it with the pencil, you know. And I could use a square or whatever, and I could also use my other flashing as a straight edge if I wanted, you know, like that, and do it with the pencil. And sometimes you can see the pencil, some other times you can't really see it. I could use a felt tip pen. I could even use a screw, a drywall screw, and use that and mark it. Okay? But have you ever seen a little hand square like this? Now this one doesn't happen to have it. Okay? But my older one does have it. What does it have on here? This little thing right here that sticks out. Lots of these have it. It's just a little marker, and that's designed to mark sheet metal. Did you know that? And there's your mark. Just that. And there's a nice little line over there I can see. And that's how you mark sheet metal with that. Or I guess I probably could have done it with my drywall screw. And you know, different ways. I just thought you might get a kick out of that. And now I've just got my my cutters. 26 gauge. It's a little stiff, but just lift up on it. I keep my foot on here, lift up on the piece that I'm cutting to keep it out of the way. And I want to make sure I get it up high enough so it doesn't hit the top of my thumb or something. See all that flashing? I can use that for something else, can't I? Okay. And that piece, let's just get you situated over here. Let's just talk about this here for a minute. I'm not gonna install this just yet, but he said to put it under this a little bit and to let it stick over the edge just a hair, and I'll measure it and everything. But then he said it needs to be 18 inches. Okay? Now this isn't 18 inches, is it? It's only 12 inches. So I'm going to cut my other flashing, and I'm going to, before I cut the end off, I'm going to say that's 12 inches, 18 inches, that's a 6-inch piece, right? And so what could I do here? I'm not going to just butt it. I'm going to overlap it. I'll overlap it an inch. Let's just pick a random number, an inch. So I'm going to cut a 7-inch piece. Okay? And so do I have to cut this whole thing? I could cut just 7 inches by 18 inches and leave the whole 24-inch piece, couldn't I? I think that's what I'll do. Because if I cut the 18-inch here, then I'm going to have a little piece like that, and then I'm going to have another little piece, you know, 7 inches. I'm going to have a 5-inch piece. But I might as well have a 5-inch piece that goes all the way up, right? 24 inches long instead of only 18 inches long. Yeah? Lots of ways you can do it. You can do it either way. Doesn't really matter. Okay, so I'm gonna take this and go 7 inches, And because there's light up here, I can kind of see. And 18 inches, because that's what I cut this one at. And 18 and 7 inches. And there's my piece. Okay. Now I can take my 18-inch piece that I just did. I could use that for my straight edge, can't I? Just like that. I can use my pencil, or this time I could use a drywall screw and just mark it like that. That does just as well as that little end piece off of here. I think that was kind of cool. I don't really use that very much. I mean, years ago, that's how people would do things. And, you know, I could use my square, whatever I want, okay? I could use a felt tip pin, anything kind of like that. All right. So now I got to be like, okay, how am I going to cut that? 26 gauge. It's a little stout, but I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. So I'm just going to lift. I'm going to lift this side up so I can cut this. Keep my foot on there. There. Just to there. Now, I gotta raise this side up. And I'm using red handle snips, and those are designed to cut curves. Did you know that? Did you know there's a difference for the handles? Red handle is designed to cut curves. For a right-handed person, to cut curves to the left, not curves to the right, curves to the left. And then the yellow handle ones are designed to cut straight, but I can cut straight with this one all day long, you know. And then they also, did you know they have green handle ones? And green handle, they could be for a left-handed person, or you know, so a left-handed person can cut curves to the right, and they would cut a curve as circled that way, but I cut it this other way, and I use the red. If you use just straight ones, it's harder to cut the curves and stuff with the yellow handled ones, so I use the red. Okay, and there you go. I've got this piece, and I'm going to overlap it by 1 inch on here. I'm going to make some marks and get set up to install that. Okay. I hope you could see that. I think you could.